Well, Warriors, let's have a good week. I want to start off talking about cable. Since cable really has been the leadership in all directions, it led to the downside. It led to the upside, as shown here by EG. And now EG is starting to turn. It's my conviction that the pound will lead to the downside during a dollar recovery. It may have started last night in Europe, have a little bit of a reversal day, but you can't rule out this was drive one. We confirmed this is drive two. We diverged. And should we get one more shot up there, I would add to shorts and look to put the position on. My preferred short now is going to be cable, looking for cable to lead the way to the downside. The very important area is going to be this 121.5 level. In fact, we also have some moving averages coming in here. This is going to be your 200-day at 121.40, which happens to be the prior high up here at 21.50. So a lot of confluence here. Right now it's just a top pick, but we start closing back under a prior high in the 200-day. I do believe that we'll have some downside action to at least the 116 level in the coming weeks. I also talked about the 104 level being a very important level for the dollar to hold, and we tested it on Friday. Today we're getting a little bit of an outside day to the upside. So this is a real key level. If the dollar doesn't hold here, we're going to 102. But the difference in sentiment is striking. So when the dollar was peaking, you had 90% bulls, and we're now in the 30s. So it's becoming crowded, the bearish trade on the dollar, and I'm looking for them to feel some pressure. I believe the big part of it could be risk off. If you look at the S&Ps here, we've rallied right back to the trend line that everyone in the universe that trades can see this trend line because it's off the all-time high, then the highs in the spring, then the highs in the summer, and here we are again. I do believe that we're going to pierce it and take it out. I'm not looking for a crash, but I am looking for a very severe shakeout, as it's possible that the market got it wrong on what Jay Powell said at the Brookings Institute. We did get, my scenario on yields did get Powelled that day when he made that speech, and they took yields back down to 350 on the 10-year. But if you look at the 10-year, this is I call it a pretty important area. Let's just put a horizontal line here. This was the prior peak, and look at where we're at. So you have both yields and you have the dollar at major support. And my contention is that the dollar will rally and that yields will pop again. Maybe only back to 4%, maybe not new highs. The weekly says we should make new highs, but this 350 level is very important. So with that happening, and we're finally getting a little bit of a sell-off. We had a breakout in the silver at 22. So if you're bullish silver, you could move your stops up. I don't think you want to see silver close back under the $22 level. That could open the door for sharply lower prices, where who knows, we could have something like this from here. I believe that we're at about 80% or 88% bulls in silver. And this is where I got it wrong, at least short term. I was looking for a breakout to the upside in the gold silver ratio, which didn't happen. We failed here, and we had one more trip down. We actually had a, what you could call a throwover underneath the wedge line coming in this morning. Now we're back in the wedge. This is implying that silver, like today, is down 1.8% compared to gold being down 0.4%. So I think there's a chance that this was just a shakeout, and you had a lot of enthusiasm for silver. I can't see silver outperforming, if I'm right about the S&Ps, taking a pretty good hit. I know it sounds extreme right now, but I think there's a possibility that we even trade all the way back down. A lot of people looking for 38. I think it might shock them, and we trade under 37. It's a pretty good profit risk reward because you're wrong over the breakout of the trend line. That's about, call it 4090, 4100. So being alert for some type of washout that could happen, and it may be delivered by rates, may be delivered by the Fed, could be delivered by a CPI. I wouldn't be long here unless we close over this major downtrend line. That's where I would be getting out of shorts. I don't know if I get long, because for months I've been saying we could break out of this trend line, trade 43, 4400, get everyone real bullish, and then fail again. That would just be retracing all the way back to the August rally highs. But for now, I think the market's vulnerable. I think the dollar is going to recover. I'm looking at the 10-year. I think that's going to recover from important support. So those are the views that I have coming into today. Some of your leaders like John Deere gapping lower, Apple acting a little better with hopes of China reopening. WTI, I don't think President Biden's going to get his $70, $60 level to refill. To me, it looks like we've put in a low here. It front ran President Biden with a low 73. I think he wanted to start at 70. I think we're on our way back towards 100. That also could be supportive in the that move could be supportive for the dollar. So if you've noticed that the dollar, when crude is weak, is weaker, and when crude is strong, it's stronger. Also in the gold-silver ratio, just want to give you another correlation to pay attention to, because I wasn't really aware of it, but when the gold-silver ratio is heading down, so does the dollar. And when you get rallies in the gold-silver ratio, that's when the dollar is strong, and this is when the dollar is weak. So you could also use this as an indication of what's happening in the dollar. Here are your long-term bonds. You know, they had a real good week. They're coming in a bit sharply lower. Actually, that's your weekly. Just take a look at a 4. You could see that they're going to at least correct. So I'm looking for a correction in yields, a recovery in the dollar led by cable. You can't ignore the yen because that's part of the interest rate story. I was premature last week when I thought the yen was bottoming, and that was back at this level. You know, that's why you always have to have stops and know where you're wrong on the trade. But look at how we're holding here. And there was a lot of confluence here in the yen, just like the dollar. So I think the worm is turning in a lot of these markets. So people have been making hay, being short the dollar, being short the yen, being long S&Ps. And I think that that's going to reverse this month in December, before we have better entries for long metals, long FX against the dollar, and to buy risk again lower from here. So I invite you to join us here at TradeGATEHub.com and to take a look at our sponsor, TradeView Markets, is sponsoring this so that I could get these broadcasts out to you on YouTube. Hope they're adding value. Of course, I want to say right now, I do not walk on water. I'm wrong, and that's why it's important anytime you hear someone talk about an idea that you have good risk management and always have a stop in. Don't use mental stops. I say that the last time I use a mental stop, my first stop was a mental institution. You don't want that to happen. It's a one mistake business. So that's the way I see the market for this week. And I think pretty much into December, we'll see if this develops, this dollar bottom and cable top. And if we get through 21.5, I think that this 1780 is going to be important, and then we could see what happens at 116. So I'm looking at 61.8 is 111, and what I'd really like to see is a massive dollar rally and be able to buy cable at under 110 at 108-ish. Good hunting the rest of the day. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And I have two great interviews this week. I'll have Adam Button from Forex Live with us on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I have David Brady at Global Pro Trader. David's a sought after speaker. I've seen David call turns in the market many times over the years. So be ready to catch him live or watch a recording. And good trading today, good hunting today. Remember, if you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left.